The stellar horizon cut through the void between stars, its hull gleaming under the light of distant suns. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, watching the endless parade of stars streak by. Their routine patrol of the outer rim had been uneventful until now. The ship's sensors had detected something unusual, a massive structure floating dead in space, its design unlike anything in their database. "Status report," Chen called out, her eyes fixed on the approaching object. Dr. Maya Rodriguez, the ship's xenobiologist, studied her readings with growing fascination. "It's definitely not human in origin, Captain. The structure appears to be some sort of vessel, but its composition, it's like nothing I've ever seen. The outer hull seems to be made of living crystal." The derelict ship hung motionless against the backdrop of space, its crystalline surface refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. As they drew closer, they could see that parts of the hull were damaged, with deep fissures running through its otherwise pristine surface. "We're picking up energy readings," announced Lieutenant James Foster from his station. "They're faint, but they're there. Whatever this thing is, it's not completely dead." Captain Chen weighed her options. First contact protocols were clear, but something about this situation felt different. The damage to the vessel suggested a violent encounter, yet there were no signs of weapons fire. The fissures looked more like they had grown from within. "Ma'am," Foster's voice carried an urgent edge, "we're receiving transmissions from nearby systems. Multiple species are warning us to stay away. They're saying the vessel is quarantined." Chen's jaw tightened. "Put them through." The bridge's holoscreen flickered to life, displaying a series of alien faces. A reptilian Varaxian spoke first, its scales shifting colors with agitation. "Humans, that vessel is condemned. Leave it to its fate." An ethereal Luminarch added, its voice resonating with artificial harmony. "The entity aboard is dangerous. We have collectively decided it must be isolated." "Has anyone actually tried to help?" Chen asked, noting how the aliens exchanged uncomfortable glances. "It is beyond help," the Varaxian dismissed. "The crystalline ones are unpredictable. This one is damaged, unstable. It could infect your entire ship." Dr. Rodriguez interrupted. "Captain, I'm detecting life signs. Whatever's in there, it's in pain. The energy pattern suggests severe cellular degradation." Chen looked at the warnings displayed before her, then back at the wounded ship. Throughout human history, they had often been told to abandon those deemed beyond help. Yet time and again, humanity's compassion had proven the impossible possible. "Prep the medical bay," Chen ordered, her voice firm, "and get me our best engineers. If it's alive, we're going to try to save it." The aliens' protests grew more strident, but Chen had made her decision. As her crew prepared for a rescue mission, she couldn't help but wonder what they would find aboard that crystalline vessel. The universe had taught humanity many harsh lessons, but it had never managed to steal their fundamental belief that every life deserved a chance. Hours later, Chen led the boarding party herself. They cut through the crystalline hull carefully, following the faint energy signatures to what appeared to be the ship's core. What they found there would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. In a vast chamber that seemed to pulse with dim light, they discovered the truth. The ship wasn't just carrying a crystalline being, it was the being. The entire vessel was a living organism, and at its heart lay a massive crystalline entity, its surface cracked and dulled with illness. As they approached, the crystal surface rippled weakly, and a soft resonance filled their minds. It wasn't words exactly, but feelings. Pain, loneliness, and a desperate hope that had nearly died until it sensed their approach. Dr. Rodriguez scanned the entity, her face growing pale. "It's not just injured, Captain. Its entire molecular structure is destabilizing. The other species, they abandoned it because they couldn't figure out how to help it." Chen stepped forward, placing her hand against the crystal surface. The resonance grew stronger, and with it came understanding. The being was one of the last of its kind, a living library of knowledge and experience that spanned millennia. Its species had once been revered as teachers and healers, until a mysterious affliction began destroying them from within. "No one's given up on my watch," Chen declared, activating her comm. "Bridge, this is the captain. Begin emergency protocols. We're bringing our patient home." As her crew sprang into action, Chen felt the crystal's gratitude wash over her. They had no guarantee of success, no certainty that they could save this ancient being. But they would try, because that's what humans did. They faced the impossible with hope and determination, and sometimes that made all the difference. The Stellar Horizon's engines hummed to life, and slowly, carefully, they began to tow their crystalline passenger toward human space. Behind them, the warnings from other species continued to flood their communications, but Chen had stopped listening. They had made their choice, and now they would see it through, for better or worse. Little did they know, their act of compassion would spark a chain of events that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of both humanity and the mysterious crystalline beings they had chosen to save. The medical bay of the Stellar Horizon had never been so crowded. Teams of scientists and medical personnel worked around the clock, studying the crystalline entity they had brought aboard. They had converted the ship's largest cargo hold into a makeshift treatment facility, its walls now lined with specialized equipment hastily adapted for their unique patient. Dr. Rodriguez hadn't slept in 3 days, her dark eyes fixed on the latest molecular scan results. The crystalline being's deterioration had slowed, but they were still far from a solution. Each attempt to stabilize its structure had yielded only temporary results. "The atomic bonds are unlike anything in our database," she explained to Captain Chen, who had come to check on their progress. "It's as if the crystal is trying to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously, but something is preventing proper phase transition." The entity pulsed weakly, its once brilliant surface now clouded with spreading fractures. Its mental resonance had grown stronger since they brought it aboard, but understanding remained elusive. Fragments of images and emotions filtered through, stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, and an overwhelming sense of loss. "Captain," Lieutenant Foster's voice crackled over the comm. "We've got company. 3 Voraxian vessels just dropped out of FTL. They're demanding we surrender the crystal being." Chen's expression hardened. "Tell them we're conducting a medical intervention. The patient is not stable enough to transfer." The response came quickly. "They say we're risking an interstellar incident. According to them, the crystalline beings are classified as Omega-level hazards." Before Chen could respond, the entity's resonance suddenly spiked. The medical bay's instruments went haywire as a flood of information poured into their minds. Images crystallized into understanding. The truth about why the crystalline beings had been abandoned. They were living repositories of knowledge, capable of sharing their vast experience through direct mental contact. But their gift had been weaponized during an ancient war. Forced to absorb tactical data at an unprecedented rate, many had become unstable, their crystalline structures unable to handle the strain. "They didn't get sick," Dr. Rodriguez whispered, her eyes wide. "They were wounded. Wounded by being forced to become living weapons." The entity confirmed her words with a pulse of sad acknowledgement. Its own deterioration had begun after it refused to be used as a weapon, choosing instead to flee into deep space. The other species, fearing what it knew and what it could do, had marked it for quarantine rather than risk the knowledge in its memory being used again. Chen approached the crystal, her reflection fragmenting across its surface. "We're not going to abandon you," she promised. "But we need your help to save you. Can you show us how your structure is supposed to work?" The response was immediate. The entity's surface rippled, and new information flowed into their minds. Not just images this way, but complex molecular diagrams and quantum equations. Dr. Rodriguez gasped as understanding dawned. "It's not trying to exist in multiple states," she exclaimed. "It's supposed to. The crystalline matrix is a quantum computer, but the forced data absorption damaged its ability to maintain quantum coherence. That's why it's breaking down. The medical team sprang into action with renewed purpose. Human ingenuity merged with crystalline knowledge as they began adapting their quantum stabilization equipment to support the entity's natural processes. Hours blurred into days as they worked, ignoring the growing fleet of alien ships gathering outside. Finally, after a week of non-stop effort, they activated their modified quantum field generators. The entity's surface began to clear, its fractures slowly healing as its quantum state stabilized. For the first time, its mental resonance carried not just information but words. "Thank you," it communicated, its thoughts now crystal clear in their minds. "You have done what others thought impossible. You have helped me remember how to heal." But their victory celebration was cut short by Lieutenant Foster's urgent call. "Captain, the Varaxians are charging weapons. They're saying if we won't surrender the crystal, they'll destroy it. And us along with it." The entity's response was immediate and surprising. "Do not fear," it projected. "You have shown me kindness. Now let me show you what a crystalline being can do when it chooses to share its knowledge freely." The cargo bay filled with prismatic light as the entity began to glow, its newly stabilized structure humming with power. The human crew watched in awe as their act of compassion proved to be not just an end, but a beginning, the start of a partnership that would change everything. The Varaxian fleet was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or technology, but in its ability to turn enemies into allies through understanding and care. The real question was, were they ready for what would happen next? The Stellar Horizons bridge crackled with tension as the Varaxian fleet moved into attack formation. Through the view screen, their biomechanical ships looked like giant predatory fish, their weapon ports glowing with charged plasma. "They're giving us one final warning," Lieutenant Foster reported, his fingers hovering over the defense controls. "Surrender the crystalline being or face destruction." Captain Chen stood resolute, though the weight of command had never felt heavier. Her entire crew's lives hung in the balance, all because they'd chosen to help an abandoned alien. Yet not a single crew member had suggested giving in. In the cargo bay below, the crystalline entity pulsed with steady light, its restored structure casting rainbow patterns across the walls. Dr. Rodriguez and her team had evacuated at the entity's request, though it continued to share its thoughts with the entire crew. "Your species is remarkable," it communicated. "Throughout my existence, I have observed countless civilizations, but few have shown such courage in the face of superior numbers." "We're not about to give up now," Chen responded mentally. "But I don't suppose you have any ideas about how to handle 3 warships." The entity's response carried an unexpected note of amusement. "The Varaxians fear me because they do not understand. They believe I am a weapon. Perhaps it is time to show them why that fear is misplaced." Before Chen could ask what it meant, the entity's crystalline surface began to shift. Fragments of its outer layer detached, floating in a complex dance before restructuring themselves into a lattice that spread throughout the cargo bay. "Captain," Foster called out, "I'm detecting quantum field fluctuations throughout the ship. Whatever our friend is doing, it's interfacing with our systems." The entity's voice resonated through their minds again. "Your quantum stabilization technology, combined with my natural abilities, creates possibilities neither of us could achieve alone. Watch." The lattice structure pulsed, and suddenly the Stellar Horizons systems transformed. Power readings jumped off the charts as quantum-enhanced energy flowed through the ship's circuits. But instead of weapons charging, something else happened. A massive field of crystalline energy bloomed around the ship, its structure similar to the quantum shields theoretical physicists had dreamed of but never managed to create. The Varaxian weapons fire, when it came, splashed harmlessly against the barrier. "Remarkable," Dr. Rodriguez breathed, analyzing the readings from her station. "It's not just defending us. The crystalline matrix is actually absorbing and redistributing the energy of their attacks." The entity's consciousness merged with the ship's systems, its vast knowledge working in harmony with human technology. Your species understands something the Varaxians never did, it projected. True power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the capacity to protect and create. As if to demonstrate, the absorbed energy began to reshape itself. The crystalline field extended, forming bridges of pure light that reached toward the Varaxian ships. But instead of weapons, they transmitted information. The truth about the crystalline beings past, their real purpose as teachers and preservers of knowledge. The Varaxian commanders received a first-hand experience of what the crystalline beings were meant to be. Not weapons of war, but libraries of wisdom, capable of sharing understanding across the barriers of species and space. They're powering down weapons, Foster reported, surprise evident in his voice. Their commanders are requesting direct communication. The main view screen activated, showing the face of the Varaxian fleet commander. Its scales had shifted from aggressive red to a thoughtful blue-green. "We appear to have misunderstood the situation," it admitted. "The crystalline one shows us a truth we had forgotten." Chen stepped forward. "The universe is full of misunderstandings. What matters is being willing to learn from them." The entity's presence filled their minds once more. "This is why I chose to trust humans. You understand that knowledge should unite, not divide. That power should protect, not destroy." As the tension of imminent battle faded, replaced by the possibility of dialogue, Chen realized they had achieved something far greater than a military victory. They had proven that humanity's instinct to help, to protect, to understand, often seen as weaknesses by other species, were actually their greatest strengths. The crystalline lattice throughout the ship continued to pulse with absorbed energy, but now it was being channeled into ship systems in new ways. The merger of human technology and crystalline knowledge was just beginning, and its potential seemed limitless. "Captain," Dr. Rodriguez called out, her voice excited. "The quantum field modifications the entity helped us create, they're not just defensive. According to these readings, we might have just discovered a whole new method of faster-than-light travel." The entity's response carried a tone of satisfaction. "Consider it a gift, freely given. The first of many exchanges between our kinds. You helped me heal. Let me help you grow." Chen smiled, watching as the Varaxian ships moved from attack formation into a diplomatic arrangement. Sometimes the most powerful weapon in humanity's arsenal was simply the willingness to show compassion when everyone else had chosen fear. The real adventure, she realized, was just beginning. The question wasn't whether humanity was ready for the knowledge the crystalline being could share, but whether the rest of the galaxy was ready for what humans and their new ally could accomplish together. 6 months after the standoff with the Varaxian fleet, the stellar horizon had become more than just a starship. The crystalline entity's integration with the vessel had transformed it into a floating testament to what humans and alien species could achieve together. The cargo bay, once a makeshift medical facility, now housed the galaxy's first hybrid quantum research center. The crystalline lattice had spread throughout the ship in elegant patterns, each intersection a point where human innovation met ancient knowledge. Dr. Rodriguez stood at her new research station, marveling at the holographic display showing their latest breakthrough. "It's beautiful," she whispered, watching as human DNA sequences danced with crystalline structures in a perfect quantum harmony. "Beauty born of necessity," the entity responded, its thoughts now as familiar as her own. They had named it Atlas, though it had explained that crystalline beings didn't typically use individual identifiers. "Your species' genetic adaptability, combined with our quantum properties, creates possibilities neither of us imagined." The lab teams had discovered that the crystalline technology could enhance human neural networks, allowing for deeper space exploration than ever before. Meanwhile, human creativity had helped Atlas develop new ways to store and share knowledge without risking the instability that had nearly destroyed it. Captain Chen entered the lab, her uniform now bearing the new insignia of the Human Crystalline Science Division. "The Galactic Council has finally responded to our proposal," she announced, her expression mixed with anticipation and concern. The discovery that human biology could safely interface with crystalline quantum systems had sent shockwaves through the interstellar community. Some species celebrated the potential for advancement, while others warned of repeating ancient mistakes. They fear what they don't understand. Atlas projected, its crystalline surface rippling with complex patterns, just as they once feared us. But you humans have shown there is another way. The breakthrough had come 3 months earlier, when Dr. Rodriguez discovered that human neural plasticity allowed for safe, controlled absorption of crystalline knowledge. Unlike the forced data transfers that had wounded Atlas's people, human minds naturally regulated the flow of information, creating a sustainable exchange. "Show them," Chen commanded, and Atlas illuminated the lab with a demonstration of their latest achievement. The crystalline lattice hummed to life, and the air filled with quantum-enhanced holograms showing the results of their collaboration. New medical treatments using crystalline-enhanced regeneration. Cleaner, more efficient energy systems, faster than light travel that didn't damage spacetime. But most importantly, they displayed the safety protocols and ethical frameworks humans had developed to prevent the abuse of these discoveries. Where other species had sought to weaponize knowledge, humanity had chosen to protect and share it responsibly. "The Council needs to understand," Chen continued, "that this isn't about gaining power, it's about growing together." Atlas's response carried centuries of wisdom. "That is why you succeeded where others failed. You never sought to control, only to help. Your compassion became your greatest innovation." Dr. Rodriguez's console suddenly lit up with new data. "Captain, look at this. The quantum field modifications we developed. They're not just improving our technology. They're actually helping to heal the damage done to local spacetime by conventional FTL drives." This was the true revolution of their partnership. Every advancement they made together didn't just benefit humanity or the crystalline beings. It helped repair the damage done by centuries of short-sighted exploitation of the cosmos. Other ships began arriving at their position, drawn by the success of their experiment. But unlike the Voraxian fleet of 6 months ago, these came seeking knowledge, not conflict. The stellar horizon had become a beacon of hope, proving that different species could work together to solve problems that had once seemed insurmountable. "We're receiving requests for cultural exchange programs," Lieutenant Foster reported from his station. "Not just from Earth, but from 17 different species. They all want to learn the human crystalline way." Chen smiled, remembering the fear in those same species' voices when they had first rescued Atlas. "Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is show others there's nothing to fear." Atlas's crystalline surface shimmered with approval. "And sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from conquering the unknown, but from welcoming it." As they prepared to receive their first group of interstellar students, Chen reflected on how far they'd come. Their simple act of compassion had evolved into something that was changing the very fabric of galactic society. The quantum displays showed their ship at the center of a growing network of light, not weapons or defenses, but bridges of understanding stretching across the stars. Each connection represented another species learning that cooperation was stronger than fear, that diversity could be a source of strength rather than conflict. "We're not just advancing technology," Chen realized aloud. "We're evolving how species interact with each other." "Yes," Atlas agreed, its thoughts merging with the ship's systems in a dance of quantum possibility. And this is only the beginning. 5 years after the stellar horizon's fateful encounter with Atlas, the galaxy had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The ship's original cargo bay, where a dying crystalline being had once fought for survival, had become the template for a new kind of space station scattered across the cosmos. The Harmony Nexus, as these stations were called, dotted the galaxy like brilliant stars, each one a testament to the power of human compassion merged with crystalline wisdom. Captain Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood aboard the newest and largest of these stations, watching ships from dozens of species dock at its crystalline ports. "Did you ever imagine this?" she asked Atlas, whose consciousness now extended throughout the station's quantum network, while its original form remained aboard the stellar horizon. now a legendary vessel in Earth's fleet. In all my centuries of existence, Atlas responded, its thoughts resonating through the station's crystalline matrices. I never dared hope for such evolution. Your species taught us that healing was possible not just for individuals, but for entire civilizations. The station's central chamber hosted representatives from species that had once been bitter enemies. The Voraxians, once so feared for their aggressive expansion, now served as mediators in interstellar disputes, their natural ability to sense emotional states enhanced by crystalline technology. The Luminarch, former rivals of the crystalline beings, had become their most dedicated students. Dr. Rodriguez, her hair now streaked with gray, supervised a group of young xenobiologists from 12 different species. They worked together at quantum-enhanced research stations, their minds linked through carefully regulated crystalline interfaces that allowed them to share knowledge while maintaining their individual perspectives. The latest results from the Deep Space Healing Initiative are in, she announced, her eyes bright with excitement. The quantum regeneration fields are working. We're actually repairing the damage done to spacetime by centuries of uncontrolled FTL travel. Lieutenant Foster, now captain of his own vessel, appeared on the station's main holoscreen. Admiral, we're picking up something remarkable. The quantum communication network is detecting signals from outside our galaxy. The chamber fell silent. Atlas' presence shifted, focusing on the incoming data. They're like me, it projected, wonder filling its thoughts. Other crystalline beings, drawn back from their exile by the healing we've achieved here. When Chen had first made the decision to help a dying alien creature, she couldn't have imagined it would lead to this moment. Humanity's simple act of compassion had not only saved a species, but had created a new way for all species to coexist and grow together. We're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council, Foster continued. They're requesting that Earth host the first intergalactic contact initiative. They say only humans have proven they have the wisdom to handle first contact with an unknown civilization. Chen smiled, remembering all the warnings they'd received 5 years ago about helping Atlas. Funny how showing kindness to one being proved we could be trusted with the future of many. The station's crystalline structure hummed with energy as Atlas processed the signals from its returning kin. Your species understood something fundamental that others had forgotten, it projected. True strength lies not in the ability to stand alone, but in the courage to reach out to others. Around them, the station continued its work. Young officers trained alongside alien counterparts, learning to use the quantum interfaces that had revolutionized space travel. Medical teams developed treatments that worked across species barriers. Scientists from formerly hostile worlds worked together to solve problems that had once seemed impossible. We didn't just save your life that day, Chen mused, watching a group of children, human and alien alike, learning about quantum physics through crystalline teaching interfaces. You showed us how to save ourselves from our own isolation. Atlas's response carried the weight of centuries, yet the hope of new beginnings. And in doing so, you taught the galaxy that the most powerful force isn't technology, or knowledge, or even survival. It's the willingness to help others when everyone else has given up. As they prepared to welcome both the returning crystalline beings and whatever new civilizations waited beyond their galaxy, Chen reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity's compassion had not only changed the course of their own species, but had transformed the very nature of interstellar relations. The Harmony Nexus pulsed with the combined energy of countless minds working together, its crystalline structure a physical manifestation of the bridges built between species. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy hadn't been their technology or their strength, but their fundamental belief that every life deserved a chance, and that understanding was more powerful than fear. Ready to make first contact again? Chen asked, as the signals from beyond their galaxy grew stronger. Atlas's response carried the confidence of one who had seen the impossible become reality. With humanity leading the way. Always. The stars stretched out before them, No longer a void to be conquered, but a sea of possibilities to be explored together. And somewhere out there, new species waited to learn what humans had taught the galaxy, that in the vastness of space, compassion was the most advanced technology of all.